상주 내셔게 예강기 딘진 저와 중세 상유 점는 디기 네 최근의 지내 현실의 되는 주바 딘진 저와 중마도 강来마되바 라고는 주바도 요 말레스 자나 디네 자 딘진 저와 중타절이야네 균디기 딘제 사다 아는 아주게 균제 마이나야 딘데 답이 딘제 지지를 되는 주보레세 아디 남샤마 디고 쉬제 아주 삼다야디 갈당고라스네 아주기 디기지네 규단 견라티네 용고레 동아주 용비네 규단 견라티네 용고레 제사디네사 아주 동아기 요하에 규디파 양봉을송 디마 규디마 세바이나 메바 세바이나 아주 안 동아디마 메바스 투야다 안 디기 요하에 규디 가라가라 용 규간을 때네 디기 용구도스 제사 규디 용고에 송어제 안디 디기 규디 주바에는 아주 디기 용구레스 제사 디네 콜리아는 삼당고레스 디진 쇼게 디고 주로다도.
Good afternoon. So then this morning we started to look at our text, and we started with the very first line, to you who taught that phenomena arise dependently, which we saw that refers to the you being Buddha Shakyamuni, and Buddha Shakyamuni taught that all phenomena are dependent arisings. To you who taught that all phenomena are dependent arisings. And we saw that dependent arisings can be divided into those which are dependent on causes and conditions, as well as a dependent arising can be divided into those dependent on imputation by mind. Another way to divide dependent arising into two would be dependency on causes and conditions, and one thing being dependent on another. Two different ways to express that division. And we looked at what this meant, and in the various lines of investigation, when it came down to what the most important understanding was to come to be clear that our desired state of lasting happiness is achieved independent on causes, and our desired state of freedom from suffering is achieved independent on eliminating the causes that lead to suffering. When we're clear on that, it leads to the wish to firstly know what the causes are for happiness and the causes are that lead to suffering, and then how to accumulate the causes of happiness and how to eliminate the causes that lead to suffering. So that in brief is what we looked at this morning.
지기 된 많이 직 많이 써야지 어디고 쉬어야 돼. 다당고 다데 가고 매봐야 돼. 당아도 두스네 직디 그도랑 직다 삼다만 가봐요 말해서 깨와요 말해서 깨와요로 당아서 깨와 통구도 내가서 지게 된도 마답야 기도 미 아말레 부기도 지산 깨도 근데 가봐 매봐서 가봐도 당보 예봐지 매봐 쇠도 와서 가봐나 되더니 가봐 매봐나 깨봐 매봐서나 갈라고 그래서 섬섬래 시스로.
So now we'll come to these, perhaps you can say, the 8 that need to be ceased or stopped. And these are not ceasing, not produced, not non-existent, nor existent, not coming, nor going, not different, nor the same. So when first reading this, it's almost certainly will seem a little strange, because if we say there's no ceasing and nor produced or no production, this seems very strange because things are produced. We were all, for example, born. Things grow. So there is production, but here it clearly says not produced. And likewise, there is ceasing. We know death comes. We know things deteriorate. So it seems a little strange when we look at it at first to say so blatantly, no ceasing, no production, when we know there is.
나도 당보 가봐 매봐야지. 한 가봐 매봐 랍도 가르스네 지당한 저기 마 저기 가리네 된도르스나 신도나 마 계지는 매봐차로 와도 가봐서 와도 가로. 근데 저기 교로시나 아니 그 저기 당은 저기 매와서야로 저러와 신도는 또 매와서야다 가봐 차야 가봐 요래스 다디 가봐 매발라네 칼로스는 가지고 된 둠데오르식 자산 제 쉬셔바이나 가야 요래데 가야 되게 자산 베네싱의 지싱나게 자산 야기 상황게 야 매봐서야 매봐차 요래스 먼저 미네 아말게 자산 매봐차 요래스 자산 가지고 강아이네 강아 요바데 강아데 매봐서야 세야 요래스 디기 주어바네 디기디 매봐차 요래스 자산 매봐차 요래스 이나 가봐 요래데 가봐 매세야 되가선 디도 자산 유단 gen지를 되네 매봐차로마도 유단 겐 강라에 맞춰봐 아니 매봐차요 말이스 유단 겐 강라에 맞춰 랑고 뭐네 매봐차래 요 말이스 랑원이 주비기다 매봐차래 요 말이스 가봐 매봐시도 지단 가봐 요래스 이네 유단 겐 현실을 되네 가봐마도 강라에 맞춰 랑고 뭐네 아니 매가바도 요 말이스 가봐 매봐시도 랑고 뭐네 유단 겐 강라에 맞춰봐 랑고네 가봐도 요 말이스 그러다.
Let's look at the first of the 8, and that is not ceasing. So if we think, like it's just been said, so this word translated here as ceasing can be translated as stopped or obstructed or destroyed, halted. So there are several different ways in different contexts this word can be translated. So if we were to say phenomena are not stopped or obstructed or destroyed or ceased or halted, that seems a little strange because we observe in the world that what is born, this dies. So this disintegration, this death would be what is meant by ceasing. Or crops or flowers, they also disintegrate, they wither, they die. And this kind of thing is what is meant by ceasing or cessation here. So what does this refer to? Well, what it means is that whilst what is born does die, our problems do cease, plants wither and die, happiness and desired situations too come to an end. All of this ceasing comes about independence on causes and conditions. None of this ceasing comes about self-existently or free of causes through its own power. So what's born dies, but it doesn't die due to causeless reasons or due to its own power, but it dies in dependence on causes and conditions.
Atisha, Teza, the names are now to give new monk berictia, mebas gaiores. Teza, now to give now to get a lead pumboti, and now to get in now to pumboti yobaenza, now to pumbodilla, and Caso Dudi Pumbo. Don't I think Pumbo Sura? Teza di pumbodi yobaenza, and the pumbotella dene, and Lula Nazatama leada, and the similar Ganga leada. Tezang and the leada, Nyomo or Jushu Pumboti, Della dene, and Nazuki, Gangama Shiligor was. Jezan Denigi leada, Nyomo Pumbodi Park, High and Gaiores. Neganis Gahol, Gudan Kin Lama Debani Gaiomar, Gudan Kin Gelatina Gahores or that. Gudan Kin Latina Gahores. Jezan Denig Anzuki. Leda Numo Pumbodi, that's our Guinea, that Mom Guinea game make a tin to Gayores, Kawayor, Inea, Gudan King Gala, Matuba, Gavadio Males.
So we think then, we take this understanding and we apply it then to ourselves. So we think of our physical and our mental aggregates, our body and our mind. So these are what's referred to as contaminated aggregates. So these, in dependence on having these contaminated aggregates, these physical and mental aggregates, we experience all our types of suffering, unwanted experiences that befall us, whether it's physical suffering or mental suffering. It all comes about in dependence on having these contaminated aggregates. So these came about in dependence on causes and conditions, but the suffering that we experience and have experienced, we know it does cease. But the way that it ceases is independent on causes and conditions. Without the appropriate causes and conditions, cessation doesn't come about. Cessation comes about, but independent on causes and conditions, not due to its own power.
다데 ngāzuki 다 레다 녀모 둥하기 풍보 요야디 아니 파자와기네 매바서야 요라 가야 요라 이네 규나 젤라마 되바 랑 라신예 가야지요 말해서 지가바 매바서 티시로 다나 다 간스 규나 젤라디나 가고에나 데네스 간스 가고레 람나 제가 ngāzuki 레다 ngāzuki 둥하기 풍보 요야디 유가를 되는 용어는 레다 녀모 받들 레와레스 레다 녀모 받게 야 당아도 다들 풍부의 개왕아마 녀몽바게 다 녀몽바 디기 왕게 콘라사다 되셔게야다 안디 디딩게 양아서 레앙안 바사야 딘디 사셔 안 체들량아서 강아서 그래서 제가 레다 다등아 체들량아 주기다 되셔다 콘로다 녀몽바 디니게 콘로 녀 직망고 숙침부 개와이나 디기 제고 몽바나 야디 둥아이 풍부 용해야 되레스 제가 디니게 자 둥아이 풍부데 매바서야라 안 간에서로 디니기 규디 요야디 디야 자와 다진 마리바셀레 디고레스 진짜 디 규디마 가고레스 다진 마리바바 녀모바드 바가고레스 녀모바디 바가샤바이나 디는 개와 나주김 제텔 양아주 녀모바 차사 지 다진 차사 빵 투바이나 매바스 투바이나 딘 개와 치만에 동아이 풍보데 레요 맞아 용바를 제가 자원이 매바 차고레스 제가 동아이 풍보 가바레스 제가 제텔 양아주 곰 냠len 제제 아주 녀모다 녀모벌 녀모된 곰 아니 녀모베게 녀모 조 녀모게 자와 다시 마리바들 녀모된 곰 전에 아니 곰요도 제들야 다시 마리바 디 빵바 빵투바이나 아니 개와치만에 아주 동아이 풍보디 균체사 가사와레스 제가 제들야 냠len 제발에 디텔라 규텔라 때네 개와치마 아니 아주 동아이 풍보 녀모에 레마데 땡기 매바데 가도 거래서 제가 규곰발레 때네 가고르마도 동아이 풍보디 매바서야라 아니 냠len 제제 규단 긴 유디바 매바서 두시로 곰 잡제 냠len 제제 될 때네 매바서면 강라 마템바 가야요 말에 사실 시거리다.
As its independence on having these contaminated aggregates, that we experience all unwanted situations, all our suffering and pain and misery, then this is what we need to investigate. So these contaminated aggregates that we have, or they can be called suffering aggregates, physical and mental aggregates that we have, these are impermanent, which means they come about independent on causes and conditions. And what are those causes and conditions? So our contaminated aggregates in this life has come about independent on our contaminated karma accumulated in a previous life. So that contaminated karma in a previous life resulted in these physical and mental contaminated aggregates. That contaminated karma accumulated in a previous life, that too was accumulated in dependence on causes and conditions, and those are our variety of afflicted minds or destructive emotions, such as anger and attachment and pride and jealousy. And these minds too come about in dependence on a cause. They all have as a cause a single root-afflicted mind, and that is a mind of ignorance, in particular, the ignorance of self-grasping. So there's this continuity. From the ignorance of self-grasping, afflicted minds ripen, and in dependence on that, contaminated karma is accumulated. In dependence on that, our contaminated suffering aggregates are attained. So there's this constant stream here of dependency, particular dependence on causes and conditions. So when we see this stream of causes that lead to us continually being bound in this suffering state, having identified that, then we need to identify, so what can be done about this? In particular, that one has identified the root cause. If we know the root problem, if that is eliminated, everything that results also is eliminated. So the karma comes from afflicted minds, and afflicted minds come from the ignorance of self-grasping as the root cause. If that root cause is severed, is destroyed, nothing can come from that. Because if the cause isn't there, the results will not come. No more afflicted minds, no more contaminated karma, no more contaminated aggregates. And how then is that root cause, the ignorance of self-grasping, eliminated? Through developing in study and meditation based on that study, the opposing mind, the contrary mind, the exact opposite of that mind. The opposite to a mind of ignorance is a mind of wisdom. In particular, the wisdom, a mind of wisdom. So that is the direct antidote, and that needs to be cultivated. And if that is cultivated, the root cause that leads to us having this basis of our suffering, these physical mental aggregates, that root cause is severed, and we will no longer be bound within cyclic existence, within these contaminated aggregates, but we will be free of these contaminated aggregates. So in this way, these contaminated aggregates that we have now, that will cease, we are able to bring them to a complete cessation through developing the correct antidote, the opposing mind, the mind of wisdom.
Gaba yores, in a ranching Gaba, Judan Gala, Mato ranching Gaba Mevare, Sinan Judan Kin let in a Gaba, and that Juda Kindi Gaba, the Judi Kokayagi, Judi Kares, that King Karet in a cow or Jun Garet in a cow or a Laviodu, that so the don't to be shared at the Tomba, Danger, Chetam ranching, Majuba Topi, don't to be shared. Di Gomba Latine and Gomiodu, Di Gombagaze, Nuba Church at Tantuvene, Delatine, Gasori Di Koali Gay, you, and then Yomo Bada, Dazen Maripat Bangores, Di Bangodu, and then Koali Gay, Leda Yomo Koali Gavadi, Gunchik Gagores, Jeza, the Nienzada, and they don't to be shared of Goins, that don't to be shared of Gabala, and Tony Ganes Togores, Jeza, Tony is a Ganesh Lagores, Che Tam Je, Ganesh Hina, Gala Matua, Rang when you drubi, Tomba Rang when you druba, Majubadi, Rang when you drubi, Tompigi, Tombatella, Tony Lagores. Jeza, Che Tam Je, Rang when you Majubi, Tomba Tovala, Ganesh some Tangores, Dinjin Java Chua. 电中的some大节 some 当或电中的 some 大的电呢告诉我刚来嘛都让我们这边东把的多土的是的
In that previous segment, I gave you quite something to think about. We were speaking about our experience of samsara and what is keeping us bound here. So from this then we think, so if these contaminated aggregates, they will cease, but as long as the cause for them remains, the cause hasn't been eliminated. So here, ceasing remembering can be translated as destroyed, so which sounds in English quite different here. But so if the cause for remaining within these contaminated aggregates is not destroyed, one will continue to achieve further contaminated aggregates, which are the basis of all our suffering. And this keeps us bound in cyclic existence, in samsara, and prevents us from being liberated or freed from suffering. So so having identified then the cause of cyclic existence, of samsara, this ignorance of self-grasping, this mind that is the ignorance of self-grasping, this is something that can be ceased or be destroyed. And how so? So the way it is destroyed is not through its own nature, but rather independence on the appropriate causes and conditions. So independence on causes and conditions, cessation will follow. Not through the phenomenon's own nature, but independence on causes and conditions. And it's not just any causes and conditions, it's the appropriate causes, the suitable causes. And what are the suitable causes? So what's trying to be abandoned is a mind of ignorance. The contrary mind to ignorance is a mind of wisdom. And this particular ignorance is the ignorance of self-grasping. The contrary wisdom is the wisdom realizing emptiness. And what does this mean? The wisdom realizing emptiness, a mind realizing emptiness. In a longer form, it's the wisdom or the mind realizing the emptiness of inherent existence. In other words, that no phenomenon exists inherently, no phenomenon exists by way of its own nature, no phenomenon is self-existent. And the wisdom that realizes that is the wisdom realizing emptiness. So in dependence on a particular cause, the ignorance of self-grasping, we remain bound in suffering. In dependence on the antidote to that, the wisdom realizing emptiness of inherent existence, that cause that keeps us bound in samsara can be completely abandoned, destroyed, ceased, eliminated. And how? And furthermore, so we're seeing this dependency in relation to the cause of samsara, as well as the dependency in relation to its elimination, the cultivation of the wisdom realizing emptiness, which too comes about in dependence on causes, not through its own nature. And how does one realize develop the wisdom realizing emptiness? Well, that is also a dependency, it's the dependent arising, and it comes about in dependence on cultivating the understanding of the emptiness of lack of inherent existence. How does one develop this understanding of the lack of inherent existence? In dependence on understanding and meditating on dependent arising. So to develop the result of the wisdom understanding emptiness, one needs to cultivate those causes. And those causes are coming to understand what is emptiness, what are phenomena empty of. And how is this done? In dependence on meditating on the view of dependent arising.
Gerabjik Pensulia, Mitubasha, the Maja, and Trupujana, Gerabjik Naloina, Kashegik Tigmisologia, Tixiana, and Jian Chunjing as a Misajik Nalina, and Jike Matumbaji, Kiran Digminusada, and the Nigging as a drop Pensuina, and Gabriel Timothy the Yungurwa. The new United get a canal down to the Shimbusora, Cartin Ligulan, Gudan, Gimelatine, Ligamares, that Gudan Genchilet in Ligorwa. She's not the Kanga de Gemase, Gudan Genchilet in a Seco, Madam, Gudan Gilamatuna, say I made her. Just not the names are Nanazugi, Duschene, the Nigi Yontan, the Canis Yungudu, Delia, Gaia, the Mava said that Gudan Gen Carrel in a cow to sing unto some died the Gate Mochagore.
So in our own daily experience, our minds are not abiding in a permanent state, or a continuous state of peace and openness and gentleness. Rather, our mind is beset by problems and difficulties, sometimes stronger, sometimes weaker, and even when things are going a bit better, there's always the danger that great unexpected and unwanted problems come our way. We see this with the arisal of minds such as anger and attachment and pride, leading to conflict and argument between ourselves and others. And we have experience of this within our families, within our home, between ourselves and friends, ourselves and colleagues, or observing colleagues, or between communities, different peoples, as well as between nations. So this is something that pervades society, pervades the experiences of all ordinary beings. And this we know from our own direct experience, our own direct emotional experience, from looking at our own minds, And we know this from observing people directly and the world around us. And we also know through the discussions we've already had thus far, that these situations come about in dependence on causes and conditions. They've been produced in dependence on causes and conditions, not causelessly. And the resulting, for example, disharmony comes from afflicted minds, such as anger or attachment, wanting things to go one's own way, wanting to repel others. So these come about in dependence on causes. Similarly, their eradication doesn't come about through any self-existent nature within a particular mind. Rather, it comes about in dependence on causes and conditions, and the particular causes and conditions that lead to the elimination of certain circumstances. And two, based on what we've discussed thus far already, we can see the validity of this, and we have experience of this. So this means we need to take this understanding and hopefully give rise to some curiosity, leading us to look at, so what are the causes that lead to unwanted circumstances? What are the causes that lead to our desired circumstances, a situation of peace and harmony and happiness? So this is something of great importance to think about the stream of dependency that leads to both desired and undesired results.
And the Niki Yonga Kanga Shedi and the Chilogi, Mobigi Chene, Yungo Marangas Bene, Jangmoyo Bene, that just Kawara Chingumado, Chiki Pension Trupujada, Majadi Marwa, and the Jangmora and Sawachi Bene, Namshi, Judo, Jovenet, Nanzuki, Chikitus, Chiksavi, Gangaruda, Chabi, Gangaruda, Dondora Yamajona Yazik, Chikisayat, Gangara, Yungrimato, Pension Chima, Chikaruda, Gedina, Semlia, Gangateri, Yungmarwa. The Yadi Mang Che Canis Ligors and Nazo Nalo, Samla Tancho Tony Ligore, Samla Tancho. She's a Samla Tancho than a Deva Mitum Bikin, then a Gerabni Pension Marja, the Tubuja, the Gerab Pensungi, Bombokoranzu, Deva Roshirada, Sosorang, Deva, and Edeva, Gerab Deva, the Yaposhu and Dambushu. The Pasha Gerab the Koranzu Deva, the Tawa, the Yaposhu, and Nidzion, the Tawani, the Matundu, then Kuran the Digimins for Genje, and Pajo the Genje, the Pajo the Kuran Digimin the Genje, then the Genje shoot chair, the Tuba, your corner shoot chair, Quincy shoot chair, and Dizinan, Gomaya, Chagore. And the nation, Tanzuki, Jihab in there, Chike Sidumba Road, and Dinji, Mimana di Parale, Chiktawa di Matu, Sosora, Tawa di Bayawin, Chiktawa di Yahumaras, the need to Matumbi, Tawa Matumbi, and the Samlonala, Tawa Matumba Leodu, Nijinan, Digmi to Genji, Jetination, and the Trupujada, then the Chik Kamatea. And then Gedina, then somebody with Quincy and Conro, the Quincy to shoot church, Gedina, then to Hameva, Chekamadi. Then Lanzuki Sasani Paraine, Tawara Chimatindu, and the Kuran the Jim in the Tawa de Matindu, then and Chigi Kunji, Chigi Kunjin, and Gazalia, Gedina, Quinzinche, Sem Chiku Conra de Shuchesha, and the Gazam Jilia, Tupujada, then the Sasanka Chada, then the Chiki Nedon Taresiada, and then he got Ligura. Dichasa, Mahazo now, some of the Tantana Yungurwada.
The problems and difficulties and suffering that we experience come from one of two primary causes. So the lesser are the difficulties we experience that come from the outer world. So for example, if the weather's not so pleasant, then it's quite cold, then this is uncomfortable, and one may even get a bit anxious. Or if it's really hot, and one's energy is exhausted, and one is struggling to continue, yes, then one is suffering, based primarily on an outer source. But the problems that come from outer sources, whilst are common, these aren't those that destroy our mental happiness and lead to the greatest suffering. Our primary source of problems is really our way of thinking. So from our inner world, from having a faulty way of thinking, this is what causes us our most unhappiness. And if we summarize the faulty ways of thinking, we can probably summarize it to when things don't go in accordance with our wishes. In some situations we can say in accordance with our views, but it comes down to when things don't go in accordance with our wishes. So if we think of the world situation in some parts of the world where there's conflict between nations or peoples, we see there that the leaders of communities or nations have a particular view, and they want things to go in accordance with their view, and when their desire for things to go in accordance with their view or their wishes is obstructed, then anger arises within them. And perhaps long-held resentments against people or other nations come to the surface. And this then leads to conflict and warfare. When in other circumstances where we look at where there is strong divisiveness between views within society, whether they are, and these views we can express as differing political views, where politicians argue, or maybe we can even express it as social views on of whether it's equality in various forms. So here there is politely said, a strong debate, but really when we see that an individual is holding tightly to their view or wanting things to be in accordance with their wishes, when someone else has an opposing view or an opposing wish, when these come into conflict, strong anger and resentment arises. And this leads to disharmony and conflict, and sometimes not just verbal aggression, but physical aggression too. So this is something that we can see in the world, and we may well have experience. We observe it regularly with how people discuss their views and their opinions. So it's when things are not going in accordance with our view, when in harmony with our wishes, then it's very easy for minds such as anger, resentment, spite, malice, all of these to arise.
Adenegi Matimbora Chadonzo Chike Chado Dene, Getty Nan to Quanzindu, Chado, Kongalia, and Chike Gago Marasado, Kongalia, Junji Chigo, some Donovan, do Chinanzo, some of the Gedina, the nature, some Leo, Gedina, the Ganga, the Guma Chavache, Semia Ganga, Gumacheva. The Semia Ganga should church on the Lula Ganga, Lula Nazalia, Luli, Chikalasana, you made Nina, Nimohoa, then. Chike kalas na shimumbe dine leo de dine supole nazale de gangara te chagoro and dine midi tono de pass taran go tono de midi tono de lamsa sosolia sem makiwa chayada chike midi geshe goada di go geshe gowa na da midi tono na sem makiwa chaya and mi pa toje mini de mi koron jandanim de geshe de na o da midi su de tinga nge go tinga le gyunji chi go sem be na so namdo ta mara ke de na so le disu kanga ti mangoli go di chazang na ju samla ta ta to ne li go le jisan di kanga se di kanga le di karachin li o sen na ju samla ta ta to li do wa jisan da di kanga se di ya kan se go le labna dine kala dang an chi ngo be to ne se tu ya ma le 매바자 나 삼로 다제 삼리 토네 강아세 고 삼로 다다디 유어 다제 델야 아니 데네게 삼로 레 델야 냠보 간시 띵고 삼로 간시 땅고 데 삼다제 디 삼로 유어 땅고 데 삼로 또 유어 다디 아니 가 저기 강아데 세투고 그래.
Now recall a situation when your mind was upset, when you're angry with someone, where you're perhaps holding a resentment towards them. Thinking, and what happens is whether one is in the physical presence of that person or not, then recall what one's mental state is. One will be thinking about that person, one's mind will be dominated by this person, thinking, oh, he doesn't like me, or she's making all these problems in my life. And this goes around again and again and continuously in our mind. It's almost as if there's a battle raging within us. We may be on our own in our home, nowhere near this person, but it's as if they are not just before us, but surrounding us, inside of us. And this leads to our mind becoming deeply disturbed, and being so disturbed that it has an impact on our physical body as well. When we are upset like this, no matter what delicious meal, otherwise delicious meal we eat, we hardly even taste it. We struggle to sleep because our mind is so disturbed, and if this continues for a while, for certain, it will disturb our body, leading to illness arising as well, physical illness arising as well. And this is something that we experience when just alone. But then, if we have calmed down, but we later see this person, once again all that emotion arises again within us, and we become angry and annoyed all over again. Or just hearing their voice, perhaps in the distance or in another office, is enough to make all of that arise again. Or if we see this person that we're having such difficulty with talking with someone else, and especially if it's someone that we know and they happen to glance at us at the time, we're likely to be convinced that they're talking about us and laughing at us. But all we can really see is these two people together. But because of this strong, faulty way of thinking, we interpret things in this way. We believe them to be exactly as we are perceiving. So this is something that, unfortunately, we have all too much experience of. We can see this relationship of dependency, of how one situation leads to another, to another, to another, destroying any hope of inner peace. And this kind of profound suffering can be eliminated. It can be ceased or destroyed. But the way to destroy this inner conflict, this inner pain, is not through focusing on our external world. No matter what we do in our external world, it cannot overcome this problem, because this problem is our faulty way of thinking. The way to alleviate ourselves of this pain is to change our way of thinking. If we change our way of thinking, if we change our way of relating to the world or to situations, we will no longer have these problems.
Chigi and Kapin Sagadinal draw said, or Chig and I Sagadinal do me Sagadinal draws. Then she do any Chig draws a dig, Chig dorme, Chig draws a Chig dormera. Did you any draws a delicate draws do Chim and some other Chig Semnala, Machivacha, I am Midilia, or the Nisha, the Yangim Doro Chimis and Corlaven, and the Chicken Chagro. Just the Nekablang to get some Kartangu and Oda, Narangi Deva Nashim Corona and Deva Shores. Chesa Narang Deva Maduna, Halaki women do. Chesan Ko Deva Maduna, Koliki woman, and Chibareshas. Chesa Denesa, he Deva Maduba Dilla, Ning Koying Deva Maduna, I call a corn language came to us. Carasine Narangi Deva di Koana, Corona, Corona Deva di Mudugo. Chesa Denesa. He do a Madubers and Corona and did dig me do some big sometimes, or that thing in no treasure. The nigger Corona and Jigmare, some big, some Tavaina, Jugi, and the Kahati Chigo Mare. The names are and then Jugim. Dushin and the day, Yachisu, I think he do what you should have and call Yachik Jolavin, and call do what Marino Kokibu marriages and Edi Be Usukam, the Kokibu Martin, Yakomaras, Zembaina. Pachola Ganga Yungris, Ganga Zembaina, and Sosugi, some Juhatna Zembaina, and the Pacho Ganga Chair, the Chunga, Dini, Chidu, and Pachugi Zulia, and the Ganga Chair, Ungoma, Dini, and Zanga, Jugi, Ganga said, the Nigi Chungzaro, which been Pirush, Denishim, and the Sakanto Madogi, Devo Tumurutone, then you're a Yungru, I think is a hundred, the Kodum, Kopen, Chiki, and Yangiminus and Pico Corona Yungrua, she said, Dini, and the Dini Kablia, some locals Tangorana. Or the Ni Deva Duana Coron Deva Zashimazi, which is a Koy Deva de Ni Deva de Madubna, now call Honla or Gominduas, and Chizan Coron Deva de Madubna, 콜랑알라 콜랑고요. 말 찍바랑 아니게 되바 임바 찍바래. 제가 디니 인자 디반지 콜랑고 가면 디 소소란 되바래. 제가 미 되바도 말은 콜랑아 콜랑고 가면 와스비 디니게 좀 따베네 소소 콜리기 말해. 아니 콜리기 말. 아니 아지 지금 양코 되바 메바 cil량 이든 이디 제고랑 이 되바도 찍 두고 슉슉 우주 슉게베네. 근데 콜 기부는 거 말해. 제가 거 기부 말하는 아니 그 강아시에다 수 넘주된 바데 이 파는 유된지네 미팅 바차게 제사 되는서 디체기면 아선베게 제메로 지제베나 만주게디 되니 강아데 세투고래 강아요야리아.
Let's take an illustration which is quite small, but it can become into a big problem, and something that you may well have experience of. And that is, if you've made a plan with a friend to go out for a meal, and you've perhaps got your heart set on a particular type of food or a particular restaurant that you enjoy, but your friend has a similar wish. They also have their heart set on a particular restaurant or a particular type of food. And if you don't just happen to have the same wishes, then one is liable to get a bit frustrated, get annoyed, because the evening that you're looking forward to is not going to be achieved. You're looking forward to have a good time out with your friend, enjoying a particular type of food or in a particular restaurant. And now, they don't want to go there. They don't want to do that. And immediately, emotion arises within us at not being able to have things go the way that we want them to go. And almost certainly, our friend is also getting a bit frustrated and a little bit annoyed because they want to enjoy a particular kind of meal that they really like, and perhaps they don't like what you want to eat. And you both start to get a bit uneasy, and the evening is starting in a very unwelcome way, in a way that neither of you wanted. In fact, both of you were looking forward to a good night out. So if we look at this in a detached way as we are from here, who can we point to and say, oh, it's that one's fault, but not that one's fault? They're both upset. In fact, both people are in the same position. They have their own particular desires. Their desires, so they're the same in that way. They both have the wish to have a good evening. They're the same in that way. Then their desires, which they believe will lead to the good evening, are being stopped. They're both getting angry. So there's no difference between the two. And that is quite easy to see when we're outside the situation. It's certainly also the case, though, when we are within the situation and we are one of those two. And if we have familiarized ourselves with this way of thinking, we'll see this is happening within ourselves. And we'll see, actually, we're no different from the person in front of myself. So there's no need for me to look down on them or see the reaction as ridiculous, because actually, it's no different from me. So this is one way to calm ourselves down and to be a little bit more spacious, not judgmental. And that then gives us the space to think a little bit further. Actually, what we both want tonight is to enjoy each other's company and to have an enjoyable time together. And that, whether we are in this restaurant or that restaurant, is not so important. What is important is that if my friend's having a good time, I will be too, and we'll go home later, and I'll be in a good mood, they'll be in a good mood, and it would have been a lovely evening together. So thinking like this, our mind becomes more spacious, we can easily be more accommodating, not feeling like we've been taken advantage of or been walked all over, but we can feel I've contributed to my friend's happiness, as have they. We've had a lovely evening now together. So this is a small illustration or a small problem, but it's something that we probably all have experience of. And this way of thinking, though, one can relate to many other situations too.
지소지네 체실래가 디조스데 대바 마튼 바체 대바 마튼 베겐지네 지게 투보야당 카제셔야당 데니게 망골리고로 지산디 Denigi Nora, the Lelo, she doesn't do Martin, but Denigi to Gaji Tone de Inza, Lelo Shuchungo, just then Deni and Zangugi Delia, Mongo with some diary, Mongo or some bad or that Deva, Sosana, Deva Tamar, just need Deva Madubna, and Delia, Cornalaya, and Chidang, the Deva Madun, Yahumena. Pandodang Kanga Yubadi, Seshi Churwada, I didn't need a Deva Dini, Choron Deva Dini do, Chizan Choron Deva in the Mahobana Ganga Tigre, and Notre Dini Yungu to say, Seshi Chishur, Seshi Chiada, Majavane Chichi Dinima, Yapo didn't in the Yorse, Kevin Dina Yorsen, Seshi Chiadi, Seshi, there are Konlango Maris. Seshi, I didn't the Yapu Yores,
Chokshe Drabo?
Marma. 이 되바나 제반에 마오바나 람르디네 조그레 캐산디네 용그레 판도디네 요레서 하셔야 결혼기 되네 제베 삼다나 제베 너르디네 용사레 quy엔디네 용사레체 파 세시시 바시오라 제시체 두셰디 맞아 톱사 시고로 이나야 되바 마dum나 이 되바 주민두스 콩라네 되네 견주 콩라네 마투바차 제상 콩라교 말해제데 뒷마 쇠선지야데 대승이 되바 마dum나 인지미가 콩라는 거야 마 스스로라기 되바를 짜심을 지고래서 되네 전에 콩라만랑 같이 되바이나 하는 줄이야 녀라 중화라 제고래 녀라 용야기 긴디 콩라 나와이나 네 콩들기게 말해 콩을 맞게바이나 안 될이야 콘진이게 말 마오바나 균등고 저나 콘진이게 말 되네 인자 되네게 삼다이데 뱀마시게 계치모 제고래
What we're talking about here is, just to be explicit, we're talking about unwanted situations, suffering that comes about independent on causes and conditions. And the particular cause that leads to suffering is the cause of things not going in accordance with our wishes, or people having views different from ourselves. So it's the same thing, but from this cause, so much suffering and disharmony follows. And the easy to understand illustration will be with choosing a restaurant, but it's certainly the same if one is trying to choose a TV channel, and you want to watch one thing, and your partner or family member wants to watch something else, and you both really want to watch it. They are strong wishes that you want to fulfill, and the other person is getting in the way. And then we have this emotional response. So usually in the home, it leads to some disharmony, but not too many problems. Between communities, between peoples or nations, this same way of thinking leads to tremendous suffering. So the wiser way to approach this is to be aware of the insatiability of our desires. That as samsaric beings, we always desire this and that and the next thing. Our desires are never satiated. We have lifetimes of experience of our wishes never being satiated. And even if we win this and we have things go our way, in no time at all, we'll be wanting something else. No matter what we achieve in our lives, no matter what we get in our lives, it's never enough. We're always wanting more, and with us always wanting more, there's this potential for others just having a different wish from us, a different view from us, and conflict, disharmony following from this. So if we have this understanding, we've thought about it a lot in meditation so that it can readily arise when our wishes are being obstructed, we then have the possibility to utilize a more wide and expansive mind, a mind with a far-sighted outlook. And with such an outlook, we'll see this particular desire that is now being hindered in its true perspective. We'll see it as important as it really is, which is not very important. But what we will see as important is being in harmony with others, keeping close relationships or developing close relationships with others, having a mind that is free of anger, free of resentment, that is rejoicing when others are happy, even if only temporarily. So if we've come to understand this dependency well, that how through our unfulfilled, our obstructed wishes, unhappiness comes, but through developing a far-sighted outlook and a wide and expansive mind, we can achieve happiness. We can be harmonious with others, get on with others, and get on with others. Then, with this view, we're no longer bound by having to have our wishes always fulfilled.
지게 코로나시 사와 수수 코로나시 사와 있나다 미션달이야 안징한 좀 매팀 비치네 지 파쇼도 코로나 나와 있네 미디 파쇼를 심마기고 코로나 차와있네 당한 저기 나델이야 세탑으로 가르치고를 놨나 지사 나 저기 미 파쇼디 나 코로나 랑기도 세네 디세게 don달라 아저 다 넘기네디로 와다 지대네 제가비네 파쇼디 나를 뇌기기도 세제 디 강아 파쇼 뇌기기도 디 뇌기에 파 세탑을야 마게 걸어봐 디니기 마게는 베네 마게베네 디 파쇼디로 코로다 제 슈체세 루고마도 아니 마게제 내가 매와 쇠투베네 강아 제투베네 네 자원에 고주 매와 쇠투야요 말에 니 나신 어제 미 계속 하나 임베네 콩알 가고 말선 콩 알이야 가고 콩 알이야 콩을 사들 삼바네 콜이야 디 콩로드 매버 소야랑 아주 가르삼 땅으로서 난주 가고 콩을 사제 콜이야 직 동나고도 특수 셰베네 그 콩로드 매버 소투고 그래서 매버 소투고 말에 콩로드 슈체세 주고래 마도 콜 매버 소투고 말에 인데레 매버 소야랑 아주 가르삼 땅도 오 잠제 삼다 언닝제다 코강 콩라제 콩라도 콩야나 디니게 강아지게 소소이나 콩라니 밀리아 특수시에 당 밀리아 동나보다 용도 디네자 소소이나 강 콩라데 지 콩라도 인제다 니델이야 지게 두체네 파 쇠심제 제 콩라바네 나 파가 저기 바 저와 야보시야다 기지 야보시야다 넘유 야보 된바 있나 안 피 파초디 콩로디 길리길리 시투고 아 저기 잠지 삼다원 파주 콩로사데 콩로디 마시 투고래 마도 아주 콩로디 다만 파주 콩로디 매바 쇠투 마슈 쳇샤 당고래 디나신데 당 아주 콩로디 지 라바 미션다지 라바 미션다지 소소레 잠지 때 어다딩이 되지 켜 콩라 주스 니 노트지도 다다 다켜 좀마라 사체 두스라바네 내가 남사 samlodima 콩라데 되스 마자루 걸와 아다데네게 제네키 시에바네 인다 가야마데가 저 자로 동화로 지지셔서 전부 제번 수 잠지기 넘규된 계시 약보 시에바 디네가서 쇼네 어다데 디기 가야마다 되지 콩라스데 이네데 게미도 아니 디리에서 비 데네신 아니 전부 차고라 그래서 아 저기 현대기 미 콩로다 뇨모버 매바 쇠디 아 저기 잠재 삼다 아 저리 미션다게 녀버 직강하러 직수를 쉐베다 가서 쇠버콤 어다딩이디 코이데니 시딩이 파 콩란데 지마레슨 콩란이 메선베서 쇠버콤 마이나 쇠버콤 바이나 소수가 파 잠재 때 바이나 라신이 파시고 콩란야다 파시고 뇌기디 매바시 시루고래 진짜 니네상 소수이네 심기우요래 흘려 차야다 안전에네 심 흘려 차두고 진짜 니네기 가는 저기 삼다 냠는 제디 당한 저기 냠는 제디 계침부 쇼차고 진짜 라신 차상래 디기고고래 진짜 디기고완자 소수게 잠제 삼다 미생기 소선녀바 기회다 대려 콩로말라체 쇠베 냠는 제바이나 디네 디 냠는 제발에 디네 아줄 가서네 semba kibu yungor semba lele chego semba kibu yungor semba kibu yobaina ana luide bu yungor wa chizan deni enzang jogi soso digi yadi soso ge deni ge samta baina rale digi negap digi yowada shenle ya digi tuktuwa deni ge samno de yane yando kom nuba ga ze shukcher ta baina dizam gi ana soso le ki wada shenle ya panto ge chembu tuktu ya yungor wa chizan deni enzang jamje gi yamlen chegure se chizan deni chego digi chasa rashin yu dunga dang 녀모바 마세야랴 도야랴 탑럼디 차고로와
The experience that we have as with anger, whether it's with our own anger or the anger of others, is that when the mind of anger has arisen and has taken control, it is projected outwards and only brings harm to others, destroys any happiness that others have, or it destroys others' good day. So this we have experience of either of causing to others or being on the receiving end. So anger really is this destructive emotion that just only leads to pain and suffering. So how to deal with this skillfully? How to deal with anger? So if generally in the world, anger comes about when thinking that someone or an individual or a group or a situation is going to cause harm to oneself. And can be harm in either a direct sense, like physical harm or verbal harm, or prevent our wishes from being fulfilled. And in the world, what does the world teach us in how to deal with these situations? And that is through responding with conflict, responding with aggression. And this, we know from our own experience and what we observe, only makes the situation worse. It just adds fuel to the fire. And this is the case that we, either in our own experience or what we observe between nations or between communities. When one group or one nation feels wronged by the other, there is an encouragement from the community to the national leaders to respond with conflict, to respond with aggression. But we know from history, we know from what we observe in this world, that doesn't lead to peace. And it's certainly the case within our own lives, whether it's in our homes or places of work or in our communities, that when we encounter these situations, that further anger, whether we are upset and someone is then responding with anger to us, or it's vice versa, it just makes the situation worse. So rather, the way to respond when someone is angry towards us is if we have reflected well on this and it's arisen in our mind with a clarity that we could say it is a truth in that we are clear about this, then when we encounter someone whose mind is dominated by anger and they're talking to us in an abusive manner or threatening us in some way, knowing that responding similarly is just going to make it worse, we then have a space to be skillful. Because we know from experience, if someone is raging at us and we respond in a similar way, even a mere angry expression is likely to set them off, let alone if we respond with equally harsh language. So if we have clarity on this, we will know to restrain our mind, not allow our mind to go into this harmful, habitual way of acting, but rather if we have trained well up to this point, then we are able to respond with love, with compassion and with wisdom. With the union of these three minds, we can calm the person down, diffuse the situation, and later we'll almost certainly be able to talk through the situation and resolve it, possibly even laugh about it. Perhaps even the person will say, I'm really embarrassed about what I said and how I acted, I'm sorry about that. And then this can even lead to harmonious relationship being built with the person. That is possible. It's not definite, but it certainly is possible. What is definite is if one responds with anger, the situation only gets worse. And the way then to be able to respond in such a skillful way in such a challenging environment is to meditate repeatedly over a sustained period on patience. And patience is a mind that is undisturbed, a mind that remains undisturbed in the face of adversity. And the practice of patience, the mind of patience, is based on love, compassion and wisdom. And through having cultivated this in extensive training, this brings benefit for oneself and benefit for the other person as well. Their suffering mind of anger is diffused. They experience some happiness, and our happiness is not lost if we are patient. And this then, of course, not only keeps our mind happy, physically we are comfortable too, we're not getting uptight and tense and fearful. And in this way, we achieve happiness for ourselves and we help others too, help others also to experience happiness. And the stronger this mind of patience that we have developed within ourselves through repeated meditation, the more naturally we will respond in this way. At first it will take a lot of effort, but through repeated training, in even the most trying of circumstances, our mind will stay peaceful and calm, and through the arousal of love and compassion and wisdom, we'll be able to respond in an appropriate manner, a skillful manner. Our happiness is not lost, and the other person's suffering is diffused, and their happiness is achieved as well.
Dine da susurang ki shanya and jamje samtaya da and susurang ki subokomya ki nyamne ruchi di samlo di kaze shukche jiyoven chebene da kawa ji nyota mi nyota kare shebena kanga kaze na shi le de bine susurya seme ji wura le chagore jisa dine za nga zuge dine ge nyamne che de ga nga zu kanga mangbo chi ge dina chi deba mithin ba da an deba mithin be ge dine khor la ya da khor la ge la ya du ne chi su she ya da dine ne jing dong ge num yu de da dine ge thwa ne nga zu mithin ba mangbo cha go ba da nga zu ji din na de to kanga di le ma shi ka di le da ne deba mithin be ta wa ma tin be ge di gen jin na lo khor la di Janlia Tsusha, Gyunja, the two don't know what they are. Delia should church Robin, then Luigi Lavata Gang Nedon Tire Road. Delia should church Road, then Mipacho Soya Road. Then you are Chazan, then it all legal. Just like the name Zangazuki, Shen you corner side, the Denigi Patrick, tell a ninja sada, or in the Yomo, Kanga Yores, Ninja, some tire. So Sugi Denicheva, Zelia, and Sevocomche, some Motubache, Pale, Ginoviki me, some jiggy, me corn lang me, some Jitova ina, now to the Nigi, some of the Yana, the Jamba ina, and then Nazuki, Chisotan, Kawaii, Susuki, Yungure, just Giwungure, tele setele in a giware, and Chimay digi gave Jawa Chimay now, digi to Tuyana, Tadam Yuko to Tiangurva. Chizan Yamnen Jay, so the Jimbe, Yamnen, Sudan, Sudan, something Pajin doing Yamnen, the Rawachiza. Shanley knew about Chigme, and sometimes Sujimiam and Chagore. Chisa Janda socially never given and Delia and Chilan look me and big Sovache the Suvinium and Chagore. The Nienza and Disuki Pemma sing on Zuki, some daddy Kiachimoshura Chagore. Chisa the Nienza, the he Kawa Meba said, Gutan Kin let in a car who raised to Soso Kanga said, Gutan Kin, the Nege some Tajum said, you. Jamzeta and Subigi Yamlenche Gudiko Sayodu and Sosuke Kanga Disea, Dashen Kanga Sea, Gatuya di Gungurua.
The more one is trained in one studies and meditation on the cultivation of the minds of love, compassion and wisdom, the stronger patience is within us. The stronger the mind of patience is, the greater the adverse situations are that we can transform and deal with skillfully. So this doesn't come about naturally or from just wishing. It's not a particular inherent nature of any of these minds. The minds of love, of compassion, of wisdom, of patience all come about independent and causes and conditions. In brief, acquiring of knowledge and meditating on that repeatedly over a sustained period. That way we create the causes to be loving, to be compassionate, to be wise, to be patient. And part of coming to understand this, a part of being patient, is understanding this process of dependency from having desires, wishes, attachments. In other words, wanting things to go our way, wanting and expecting people to have similar views and understandings and way of relating to situations as us. When those are obstructed, when our wishes aren't fulfilled, our attachment leads to anger, leads to frustration, annoyance, and then anger. And then this mind is then expressed through the facial expression changing, through our choice of words, our tone, all changing, and perhaps even our physical behavior changing. So this we need to think about quite clearly, and we see this within our own experience, within our experience of our own minds, as well as what we observe with those around us and in the world. And when we see when this is acted on, what it leads to, always destroys harmonious relationships. At the very least, it harms those relationships, but it often leads to eventually the destruction of relationships. And two, this is something too that we can understand from our own experience as well as what we have observed. We can probably say the vast majority of problems in our world come about through this sequence. The wishes not being fulfilled, and then the frustration, annoyance and anger developing, and then being expressed physically and verbally. And this can be expressed in terms of verbal conflict, certainly physical conflict, as well as even leading to the taking of life. But if we have trained well through receiving many teachings and having thought about those, meditated on those teachings, we'll understand this process well. But in order to attain this result of understanding that process well comes about only in dependence on the causes, accumulating the causes, achieving knowledge, receiving knowledge and meditating on that repeatedly over a sustained period. Having done that, having achieved some result of a good understanding of this process, then when we are faced with a severe adverse circumstance, perhaps someone with power and influence over us, who's berating us, who's giving us a hard time, understanding this process based on our examining our own mind, we will know what is happening within the continuum of the being before us. Their needs aren't being fulfilled. Therefore, they are responding with previously frustration and annoyance, and right now, in my face, anger. And it's being expressed physically and verbally. So understanding that this person now is suffering, and because they are under the control of their afflicted mind, such as unfulfilled attachment leading to anger, naturally compassion arises within us. Not anger, but naturally compassion arises within us. And then when we've trained like this, and we've developed these causes well, and we've trained skillfully, wherever we go in this world, whatever circumstances we encounter, happiness abides within us. Our happiness is not destroyed by others. What I'm describing here, we can also understand through the 6 perfections, where the very first is that of ethical conduct, which is the commitment not to harm. Through training well in this, eventually leads to being skilled in patience, a further perfection. And how then? And this explanation relates to this term that we have now back in our text of not ceasing. So this means that everything, every impermanent phenomenon doesn't cease independently, but ceases in dependence on causes and conditions. So not ceasing can be understood as not ceasing independently. Rather, it ceases independence on causes and conditions. And now we've discussed in some detail what those causes and conditions are that lead to the ceasing of anger. And those are, in brief, love, compassion, and wisdom, the practice of patience.
Dorje na anzo kakpa mepa se de dondala da chik su duni ma she sha ba na karsuwas ne chi ngobo dang khowi dunga le da nyomong ba bakcha da je ba chasan gaya yores gaya chi ngobo nangi le da nyomong be ong khowi du bi ke che le da nyomong ba da dunga den ba sa da khowi dunga de me je le da nyomong ba bakcha da je ba chasan gaya yores gaba yore gaya yore meba zawa ni meba cha yores gaya yore de ine ya gangla ya mo de ba gyudan jin xian ju le dui ne gaba mo de gaya mo de ba rang ngwen ne gaba de yo ma de so gaba meba se de so gaya yore de ine gangla ya mo de gyudan jin gangla ya mo de rang ngwen ne gaya se de yo ma de so gaba meba se di so le da.
So in brief, to summarize this term, not ceasing, it means that all outer things, all material things, they cease, but they don't cease independently. All our afflicted minds, they cease, but not independently. This contaminated karma that we've accumulated, this too ceases, but not independently. All of these cease independence on causes and conditions. And that is the meaning of not ceasing.
Na kewa meba se nibe dro kapa meba lo se kewa meba la de duji gu chu tamji kewa yores kewa meba ma kewa yores anda kewa na de kewa meba se da kare la de chisa duji gu chu gane kewa na gyudan genji la de ne kewa ma to bene gewi chu ji na da yaga ji na da duga ji na da sangbo ji na ngambo ji na chasa duji gu chu gane chi ne kewa la ya gyudan gen ji la gyudan gen ji lo de ne kewa ma to gang la ya ma de ba gyudan gen gang la ya ma to ran ngo de ge de ba ji yo ma de so kewa me ba se ji dan kewa me ba ma de ji dan kewa yo de gyudan gen la de ne nga zo ki zi xin da sa bon la de ne dun do ge yo de dang ji ge ge wi ge sam lo kong de ge yo de kewa ge yo de ma ge yo cha san ge yo du ji ge che cha san ge wa de and did you choose and give another give mebala de garelan, Sunya de Garelan? Did you choose and give your dinner? Gudan King Gala and Matthew Baja rang when they give your mares order. Gudan King Gala Matthew rang when they give your mares.
The second of the eight terms, null produced, or can be translated as null born. So produced or born. So the meaning here then is the same as before, in that all phenomena or situations, all impermanent phenomena, whilst they are born or they are produced, they're not produced independently, or they're not produced inherently or truly, but rather they are produced in dependence on causes and conditions, not self-existently or through their own power. So this then refers to all impermanent phenomena, everything that is wanted, whether it's wanted or whether it's unwanted, all impermanent phenomena, or all compounded phenomena, that synonym or the synonym of functioning things, all of these are produced but independent on causes and conditions, not independently or through their own power or their own nature.
Chisa jugi dunga ye pumbo jugi dunga le pumbo kewa dia karele tine kewa resne kewa ngameke lela tine kewa res. Chisa lu ke le chile tine kewa res. Chisa lela tine kewa za di ju le dia garsne di ju nyomo ba chi le gwa. Chisa nyomo ba onge le sa le de le tine ngazu korwi dunga ki pumbo di kewa len pares. Chisa le di che kewa de garsan zawa marik pati des. Chisa dunga yoya ke gyuzo di karale tine kewa dunga ke da ngazu dunga pumbo di ke di ke chasa gyu le da nyomo ba de ya zawa da se marik pa le tine kewa res. Ta ke na ke de disu le tine kewa res. Chisa di ji kapa me ba se de ga de dine ke ngazu kewa da le da nyomo ongi jungi kewa di gyu dele tine kewa sa gyu di meba soba ina devu ki ye kya yon bare chisa dene devu de ka ro gyu nyomo ba de pa meba so sha ba ina ka ba ina di devu an nyomo dunga yi pumbo de kya yon ma ka ro ri se ro de.
And furthermore, the basis upon which we experience all suffering, these contaminated physical and mental aggregates, these are impermanent phenomena, so therefore they are produced, but they are not produced independently, but in dependence on causes and conditions. And what are the causes and conditions that led to this result of the contaminated physical and mental aggregates? It is contaminated karma. Contaminated karma is also an impermanent phenomenon. It was also produced, but not independently, rather in dependence on causes and conditions, namely the afflicted minds. Those afflicted minds too have a cause and a root cause, the root cause for this entire progression, and that is the ignorance of self-grasping. So this has been mentioned before. But what we're seeing here is this progression of dependency, of independence on causes comes a result. That result then becomes a cause for a further result. So when we understand this progression, because it's come about independence on causes and conditions, this means it can be eliminated through the cultivation of the opposing causes, the contrary causes. In particular, if this root cause is eliminated, if there's no root cause, there's nothing to sprout, to grow from that root. So if this ignorance of self-grasping itself is eliminated, no further afflictions, no further contaminated karma. That entire stream of continuity is eliminated solely through destroying the root cause, the ignorance of self-grasping.
Dine zada nganzu ge nganzu mi kyewa re se da nganzu da chede la nganzu mi re kyewa lemba re kyewa ro chesa di kyewa mi kyewa de gyudan kyen la ma de ba mi kyewa ma re se chesa mi kyewa de gyudan kyen la de ne kyewa re se chesa nganzu gyuwa re se nyama ani kewe le sa churim song wala de ne nganzu mi kyewa da ani sebe nyamlen chewa da ani ji nganzu ya de ya ongbo changwa la so ba da de ne ani jimbe nyamlen cheba sa nganzu tunye 주야데 차산 디차산 개왕아마 기 진베다 추림다 수베 냠는 제발에 때네 규티네 사발에 때네 가서다 체델이야 밀기와다 원보 상와다 아니 가서게 지게 제 가서리 상와다 아니 개왕아마 지게 최 데니게 퇴제 냠는 제비 리겐지 체델이야 가서 최제하고 브라와다 데니기 규텔에 된래바래 진짜다 몽바나 가서 개와치마 밀게야다 아니 지금 옹보 창화다 아니 튕게 야고 용하야다 아니 지게 최냠래 야고 용하디 유단 깨는 되는 거고 제가 유디게 되어서 체델이야 가 저기 류가 있으면 전에 내가 지금에 세비 수림 소야디 수림 소와는 규델 개와치마 가서 밀다하다 미개와서는 체델이야 수림 송고 그래지 제가 유 수림 소야디 개와치마 하다 미고만 덮고 그래서 진짜 제대로 양을 주기 진비 냠내 셴리아 교다 야 초포야 되니 로가쳐야다 되니 진비 냠내 제바나 제바 될 때네 아주 개와치마 아주 롱죄 죽도 그래서 저는 제대로야 셴인도바 제바다 되니기야 파 코로 말아와 대신 아주 셰바나 쇠보검 잠닝지 공부 이나 안 될래 개와치마 소소 안에 야고야 원보 상와라 소바 안 제대로 양아주 취념는 제야다 라마데 취슈 양안에 야도 공섬다원 개와치마이나 디슈긴 등아주 냠래 야고 취제 야고야 제가 되니 인자 누신 개와치마 야고야 돼 밀개와 되는 영화데 유매바 용 말에 스키기 말에 제가 유레드니 개월 제가 유딩아주 다드네 두스티나 사바이나 안에 마오바네 디웅그레스 오라
Not produced, as was mentioned, can also be translated as not born. So if we think then of our own situation, we were all humans, and we were all born into this life. And we also all know that this birth took place independent of many causes coming together to lead to the result of our birth. If those causes, those correct and appropriate causes weren't all accumulated, this birth would not have been able to follow. So that's easy to understand. Then we need to think about, so what were those causes that led to this particular birth that has been attained? So the causes were accumulated in our previous life and then resulted or ripened in this life, in this rebirth. And so those causes we can look at as fourfold. A primary cause would have been of cultivating the mind of ethical conduct, an ethical outlook. That is the mind of ethics, which is the determination not to harm. This is the primary cause leading to a good rebirth as a human or a god. Furthermore, the practice of patience, the accumulation of the mind, the cause that is the mind of patience, leads to having complete sense faculties such as sight and sound, as well as harmonious relationships. The accumulation of the cause of developing a generous attitude, a mind of generosity, leads us to have attained a rebirth with an abundance of good material conditions. And furthermore, having accumulated the cause of the mind of joyous perseverance, this has led to a wish to engage in the cultivation of virtue and interest in spiritual development. So those causes in a previous life we accumulated, and we are now have experienced or enjoying the ripening result. Gaining certainty of this then leads to the natural wish to arise in dependence on gaining certainty of that, of wanting to accumulate similar causes again, wanting to develop an ethical mind, a mind that commits to not bringing harm. Furthermore, a generous attitude, a mind that wants to bring benefit. A patient attitude, a mind that stays undisturbed in the face of adversity, and a mind of joyous perseverance that delights in virtue. Because in dependence on understanding the causes that led to the result of this birth, we know that in dependence on those causes reaccumulated, we will attain a similar good rebirth in our future lives. So here we're coming to understand that there is no production or no birth, meaning there is no causeless or independent. There is no independent birth, but rather birth that is dependent on causes and conditions.
You may probably go my Gudan, Jan Kala, Madioba, Jashusim Kia, Mare, Ninja Kia, Mare, and Nation Kia, Mares. Just not Dinichasa, Gudan, Jan Kala, Madioba, Lam Gudikia, Mares. Just not Dinis, this Chasan Kia, Gudan, Genchilla, Duniki, Horus. Just not Gudan, Gela, Dunki, and Zang, the Jashusim Kia, and Jika, Ninja Comiata, Ninja Combata, Jambata, Zewa Combina, Dicutela, the Jashusim Kit water. Just that Jambada, Niji, dear, get the you, and Shelia, and She, some Jatamche, Ralia, Tinchimbo, and Getting Chimbo in Bata, do some diadu, Jambad Niji, Gutelet in the key to water. Just at the Ninza, Deso Chazan, and Yudan Gela to the Kure, Sashi, Snadinere.
The same understanding then, here looking at this term not produced or not born, through the same understanding we come to understand that the minds that we aspire to, the mental paths that we aspire to, such as the mental path that is bodhicitta, this is something that is not independent, but is also dependent on causes and conditions. Not any causes or conditions, the appropriate, the suitable causes and conditions. So these would include cultivating minds of love and compassion and wisdom, and as well as the various minds of the perfections, such as ethics and generosity, patience, joyous perseverance. These are all required as causes to lead to the attainment of a mental path, such as the mental path of bodhicitta. So these desired spiritual goals, these are also dependent. To give birth to them within our continuum, for them to be produced in our continuum, is possible because they are dependent. And it's possible through accumulating the exact causes. And so to give rise to minds of bodhicitta comes about independence on a variety of meditative topics, such as independence on reflecting on the kindness of others. One can give rise to bodhicitta. Independence on giving rise to the wish to repay the kindness of others. The mind of bodhicitta arises. So in many ways, we can see this relationship of dependency that leads to the production or the birth of good qualities within us.
Deshi Seba Komda, Subi Yamen Cheda, Anshelia, Jamze Samdana, Chezan, you, Denetine, Denungudu, Denele, Denungudu, Sampika, Samda, the Cheba Cheche, Denje, Samda, Denje Sam Deneta, Ganga Sedi, samla dus tenen samtana an chikanga sigore seada digi tubya de samla dine ten digi tubor se de jinga zo chikanga seada dine chegore digi dine tubor se soma sheba na de de dine ge samta de 저기 양내 양도 삼다데 예침부 최고래 제가 소소리야 강아지 체류 갑라 남상 어디 된체제 어디 삼다 어디니 삼당 고고래 선비게 삼다데 예침부 최고래 제가 되게 강아지 레요도 말레 공론나 되게 삼다데 공고 삼다데 예침부체 다 되게 강아지 체류 갑래나 되지 삼당다 셰디 먼저 삼다 비제 다제 되게 강아지 세탑으로 제거데 네 진디레 내가 저 드링기 셰디 내 소리지 dinere da ya sangye din ma chi mu ti chi xia re
sangye ne de kuma song
den ma mu ti xi.
And to summarize what we've looked at in this session is that what I'd like you to engage in today, whether in formal session or between session, at all times your mind is engaged, so I'd like your mind to think about what was presented here. If one cultivates minds such as patience, love and compassion, independence on those, will happiness come? Independence on such minds, will we be able to eliminate suffering? So I presented my case that if we have a loving and a compassionate and a wise outlook and we are patient in the face of adversity, we will not experience problems, and moreover we'll be able to bring benefit to others. So I know this as a truth for myself, and I've come to this understanding through hearing teachings and reflecting on them. And so it's my hope then that you will do the same. And if through after the initial investigation you see that there is validity here, that this is a correct presentation, that independence on cultivating the appropriate causes, the corresponding result will come, then with this knowledge, this will give one strength of mind to want to engage in meditation on these topics repeatedly over a sustained period. And this is important, to bring about transformation from a way of thinking, to break negative habitual ways of thinking, and to cultivate stronger habitual virtuous ways of thinking. This doesn't come about independently. It comes about independence on accumulating the appropriate causes and conditions. So through thinking about this a lot and seeing the validity of this, one will want to then engage in meditation. And for that to be effective, it has to be done repeatedly over a sustained period. Doing so, one will start to see a change in one's outlook, a change in how one relates to the world around oneself, or situations in the world, situations we encounter, as well as people. And we'll start to see that when we are in unwanted situations, having created many causes for the minds of love and compassion and wisdom and patience, then when we experience unwanted circumstances, that training will spontaneously arise within us. No longer will frustration and annoyance and anger spontaneously arise, but through having weakened our habitual tendencies in that regard and strengthened our habitual tendencies in the virtuous regard, readily compassion arises. And then we can respond with skill. But this process, that result comes about in dependence on a process, all those causes and conditions. So my request is that you engage in these reflections. So thank you, we'll finish here and then we'll continue with the next line tomorrow. Thank you.